So Ayush, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So good afternoon, Ayush. How the things at your end?
Very good afternoon, sir. All well. And first of all, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to interact with the students and looking forward to the session.
So Ayush has a long association with us, and we even had a talk, I think, 1 year from now.
Yeah.
So when he got into the IIMs and everything, even when he got the CAT score, I think. So
Yes, sir.
Ayush, today this audience you're looking. So right now 680 people are there. So it will, I think, peak to 2K, 3K somewhere. So this is a two kind of people are there. So one kind is a 2024 people who are into the GDPI, that kind of an area. So they're getting calls and all kind of things are happening. The other people are the people who are preparing for 2025, and they are obviously into sectionals like quant, purple, DLR, how to go about, what exactly to expect in 2025, what the trend shows and everything.
Right.
So what exactly the structure is, you will have your own say, like extempore hai aapka, so you can carry the audience with you. And after this, whenever you can start with the Q&A, you can pick from the even the chatting, and even we as a teachers, there are 3 teachers who are right now looking into the whole thing, and even the technicalities and everything. So even we would be asking. So 3 kind of an audience, even the teachers are an audience here. So right now what I'll do is मैं अपना switch off कर दूंगा camera and the
Yes.
audio, so that the whole stage is yours, and you can the way you can carry as you want it. Okay, so we
Sure.
touched 1K right now. Okay,
Great,
चलो
sir.
तो
Thank you.
I'm just switching off my camera and the thing, I'm there only. तो आपको कोई problem हो anything, you can always ping me. एक बुलाओगे तो मैं I'll join back. Okay.
Sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. So, hi, good evening, everyone. So, as I mentioned, I am Ayush Macha, and I'll just give a brief intro about myself. So, I am a BCom graduate, 21 pass out from Pune University, and I have a work ex of 15 months as a customer success manager. And post that, I decided to appear for CAT, and I gave CAT 2022 and got a score of 99.78 percentile. And finally got into IIM Udaipur, currently in my second year, and I have interned at Britannia as a sales and marketing intern. So this is my brief background. So today I've structured this session into 2 halves. So first, since some of you have already cleared the CAT exam and have received few calls for the interviews, so first I'll be talking about the GDPI prep plan. And in the second half of the session, I'll focus more on the CAT 2025 preparation plan, right? So this would be the agenda, and at the end we can probably have some Q&A. So yes, let's get started. So first of all, congratulations to all those who have appeared for CAT 2024 and managed to receive calls from IIMs and other B schools. So now that you have a strong foundation, and I'm sure that you must have already started preparing for the interviews. So I'll just give you few thoughts, few tips which I had used during my interview stages. So as soon as the CAT results were out, and I knew I had a rough idea of what all colleges I could expect the interview calls from. And the first thing that I did was probably bucket my preparation into 5 phases. So those 5 buckets were, first of all, your personal, details that could range from what is your name, what is the meaning of your name, what is your family background, and which state, which city you hail from, how many Lok Sabha states and seats are there. So this could be anything related to your personal background. Second is your academic background, right from your 10th, 12th, and mostly your bachelor's. So whatever degree you have pursued in your bachelor's, you should be knowing couple of theories from those subjects. Third could be your work ex background. If you are someone having a prior work ex, so you need to know what industry you have worked in and how the dynamics are currently in that market. What are the key competitors and what are the paradigm shifts that have been happening of late. So this was the third bucket. Fourth bucket could be your extracurriculars and hobbies. So basically anything that you would love to pursue or you already would have pursued. So in my case, I was very actively involved in cricket since my childhood, and I'm also a sports enthusiast. So I used to play around 4 to 5 different sports. So this was my fourth bucket. Fifth and the most crucial bucket would be your current affairs. Current affairs is something that is non-negotiable, and this is a parameter on which most of the candidates get rejected during the interviews. Hence, this is of utmost importance. So I'll start with the first bucket, which is your personal background. So probably what you can do is you can create a master CV. You can jot down your points. So for example, I am Ayush. So the very first question that can come from the interview is, what does your name mean? Or what is the meaning of Ayush? So this is something that you have to do for each and every detail that you have mentioned on your resume or the application form that you would have filled on the portal, right? So this would also include, as I said, the family background, like what do your parents do, what kind of profession they are in, and probably which city you hail from. For example, I am from Nasik, which is a city in Maharashtra. So in one of the interviews, I was asked, tell me some key things which Nasik is known for. So the very first thing that came to my mind is the wine capital of India. So Nasik is known for its winery and grapeyards. And there are many vineyards situated in Nasik, and it is also a key exporter of wine to other countries. So this is the first thing. Second thing that I mentioned was that it is a city of cultural and mythological significance, as a key event of the legend Ramayana happened in Nasik. So this is where Devi Sita was, abducted by Ravan, right? So this is something that you need to do in-depth research about which place you are coming from and all the things that you have done so far, right? So this was about your personal details. This can also include your goals, your aspirations going ahead in future. Yeah. So the second thing that I had focused was basically your work experience. And for freshers, what you can do is probably focus more on what all activities you have done during your college. So this would include, you must be a part of some committees or clubs in your undergrad, right? So you can focus more on what were the management aspects that you have encountered, if you handled any fest or you were in the organizing team of any event. So you can probably jot down like what were the experiences and how it helped you to understand more of the business dynamics, how to collaborate with everyone, and how best you can work in order to achieve the common goal. So this is something that you can do, right? And for workx people, it's very important to understand that what kind of industry that you are in, and what is exactly your job role. So oftentimes what I've heard from the interviews is that candidates are not very clear about their job role. So basically you have to tell it in a way to the interviewer so that he understands. So think of it not as a 40 or 50-year-old professional sitting across you, but as a 10 or 12-year-old child sitting in front of you. So if you are able to explain things well to him, and if he is able to understand, it means that you have done your job. So keep things simple, and you should know everything in depth about your work experience. This was second thing. Third thing, coming on to your extracurricular and hobbies. So this is something that everyone would have at least one hobby that they would pursue in their free time. So this could be sports, this could be cooking, traveling, or etc. So you should be very clear. For example, if I am telling cricket is my favorite sport, so I should be very well aware of the rules that are there, what are the dimensions of the ground, and what are the different formats and the history of the game. So basically everything out there about cricket. So whenever you say that XYZ is my hobby, the interviewer would go in depth and try to ask you questions that not many people are aware. So this shows that how serious you are in pursuing your hobbies and side interests. Like, so do thorough research and be very well prepared on this aspect. Finally, current affairs. I mean, I can't stress enough on this topic because current affairs is something that each interviewer would ask you. And this is the time where recently, couple of days back, the budget got announced. So it's very important that you are well aware of what trends are shaping in the domestic economy as well as the global economy. So few sources that I could recommend to you is probably Economic Times, your Business Standard, The Mint, and there are various other newspapers as well, which you can refer to. So I personally would recommend Economic Times because it provides you clear, concise, crisp, basically opinions on all the recent trends, right? So now how to answer during the interviews. So the first thing is, once you have created a master resume or a master sheet that includes all the things that you have mentioned so far in the different buckets, so each point should have a story to it. So for example, I say that I have a 15-month work ex. So the very first question is that can be expected in the interview is, what are some of the key challenges that you faced, or let's say what uh, was the challenging point in managing this project. So for any question, whenever you are answering, the key framework should be the STAR framework. I'm sure many of you must be already aware about this. This is not something very new. So I'll just re-emphasize the STAR framework. So STAR, S stands for situation, T stands for task, A stands for action, and R stands for result. So first of all, you have to set the context, like what was the situation that you were in during that point of time, and what was the task given to you, and what steps you took in order to solve that problem, and what was the end result at the end of the uh, situation, right? So it could be positive, it could be negative. If it's positive, then you can share your learnings, like what things well you did in order to achieve to the positive result. If things didn't pan out well, then you can probably share your learnings that although I failed at this project, but these are the few things that I learned from that experience. And this is something that I'll surely try to improve in my next adventure, right? So this is one key framework that you should always keep in mind, which is the STAR framework. Now, second thing, whenever we come to current affairs, right? So for example, if the interviewer asks me, what were the key trends or key announcements in the recent budget? So instead of saying that the tax slabs were broadened and the government had lowered the tax rates. So what does this tell you about the candidate's ability to think or analyze any given topic? Instead of this, if I say that last 2 3 years has been sluggish for the Indian economy, and in order to boost revenue and inflow the cash in the economy, the government has widened the tax slabs and lowered the tax rates, which would further increase the disposable income in the hands of the consumer, and this should ideally aid in growth of the Indian economy. So this is something that you can tell, which shows you that you do have an analytical mindset and you don't just read the news, but you also analyze from a business perspective and how it would affect the economy going ahead, right? So these are the few things that you should keep in mind. Apart from this, you should also focus on few soft skills. So basically that could include your facial expressions. There would be signs of nervousness. So initially when you start preparing, you would fumble a bit, and you won't smile enough. So these are the few things that you have to take care, and this gets well once you practice over a period of time. Second thing is your body language. So you need to be confident, you need to show a strong posture, and this is again something that you need to practice well before your actual interviews. And so this is one of the key things that I did during my interview phase. So every day I used to stand in front of the mirror. I used to pick any random topic, and I gave a target to myself that I'll speak for about 60 to 90 seconds on that particular topic. So initially, the content didn't matter a lot because I used to see whether I could speak on a stretch for 60 to 90 seconds, and if I could maintain a good body posture and a strong eye contact. Later on, you can probably focus on the content itself once you start reading newspapers and enough articles throughout the day, right? So this is something that I used to do. And my final tip for the interviews would be that stay confident, and no matter how well you prepare, in the end, in the interviews, there would be certain point where the interviewer would put you in a tough spot. So basically, they're not there to check if you know everything. They'll throw some random situations in order to check your emotional balance, if you get fidgeted or if you get nervous or if you are able to maintain your composure. So in case you come across any question that the interviewer asks you and to which you are not aware, so easy answer would be, sorry sir, sorry ma'am, at this point of time I'm not able to recall. But if I were to make a guess, if you are able to make a guess, then ask the panel if you can take a guess at it. If not, then you can probably say, ki, sorry, sir, that, sorry, ma'am, I'm not aware about this, but I'll surely read about it after my interview is done. So this shows that you have that learning mindset, that you are looking to enhance your knowledge. And in the first case, in case they allow you to take a guess, then you can take a well-educated guess, right? So this was my key tips for the interviews, and hope this would be helpful for you. So now coming on to the CAT 2025 preparation plan. So this is currently we are in February and we have ample enough of time before the CAT 2025 is scheduled. So at this point of time, it's very essential to get your basics cleared, because without getting basics cleared, you can't expect to score well in your mock test and eventually in the CAT exam, right? So, what do I mean by getting basics cleared? So, initially, you should start inculcating a habit of reading, because earlier CAT used to be about for 3 hours, right? But now, since 2020, I guess after 2020, CAT started conducting 2 hour tests, which included 3 sections. So, it has more become a game of speed, wherein they check whether you are efficiently are able to manage the time given to you, right? So first thing first, you should do is start reading articles. So uh, this is very much useful because in a CAT paper, if you consider VARC, if you consider DILR, and quant to some extent, you have to pay a keen attention to whatever details are mentioned in the question. So if you are not able to capture the details, then you won't be able to answer the questions, right? So that's very essential that you start reading. So initially, you can start small. You can start probably by reading a couple of articles every day, which would take around 10 to 15 minutes. And slowly and gradually, you can increase it up to one newspaper or probably an hour reading every day. So first, I'll be talking about the verbal section. So for me, my Achilles heel was VARC. I was pretty much weak at it. So I knew that I had to put in the hard yards for the VRC section. In VRC section, my pain point was that I was not able to comprehend whatever was given in the RC passage, right? So first thing I had to do was inculcate a habit of reading. So through reading, what happens is that your mind gets trained in order to read for a long period of time and at the same time comprehend and capture the information that are mentioned in the passage. So I started small. I started with 15 to 20 minutes of reading in the initial 2 to 3 weeks, and gradually notched it up to probably one newspaper a day and a couple of articles in addition to it, right? VARC is a section which requires patience from your end, right? You can't expect results overnight if you are not doing well in that particular section. You have to give it some time, because, if it were that easy, then every candidate would have cracked it, right? So start small, start reading on a daily basis. Then in VARC, there are two types of questions. First is reading comprehension, second is the verbal ability. People often focus more on reading comprehension, but on my personal experience, I would like to tell you that verbal ability is also a key part which would help you in boosting your overall score. Because in verbal ability, there are a few questions which are non-negative, and if you practice them well, you have the ability to boost your overall score to a great extent. So on daily basis, in the initial days, what you can do is you can focus on odd one outs, para jumbles, right? So on first couple of days, practice 10 to 15 para jumbles a day and a couple of RCs a day. So through this, what you would do is you could, focus more on a specific type of questions and ensure that your accuracy is being at a good level in that particular type of questions, right? After this, what you can do is you can probably start solving the mock tests, right? For mock test, I would suggest that don't make it too frequent. I believe in the initial stages, analysis matters a lot more than the number of mock tests that you give, right? So for VRC, focus more on the analysis part. Now, how to analyze? You have to do analysis on a qualitative as well as quantitative basis. So I had my own Excel template which I had created for the three different sections. For VRC, my quantitative analysis would be the number of questions I attended, the number of questions I got right. In RCs, what was my accuracy? In VA, what was my accuracy? Right. In qualitative, I used to analyze that there were different kind of questions, right? First would be your inference based, second would be your fact based, right? So what was my accuracy in inference based questions? If I was struggling in a particular genre of passage that was being given to me, then in VA, verbal ability, I knew that para summary was my strength. And I knew that in para jumbles, I used to get around 30 to 33% accuracy. So I needed to work up on that, right? So this is something that you need to analyze in the verbal section. Coming on to DILR section, DILR is again something that you can only get better at with thorough practice, and there's no other alternative to it. So, what I would suggest is start with learning the basics of arrangements, then cubes, and how to solve different kinds of puzzles. So, there are ample of videos and there are ample of past year papers that are present there. So you can go through them to get a hang of what kind of puzzles or what kind of logical reasoning sets are being asked in the CAT exam, right? So once your basic sets done, so what I would suggest is on a daily basis, you should ideally target practicing 2 to 3 sets, right? So before the CAT exam, if you do this, you would have ideally practiced 300 to 400 sets. And in addition to this, you would also be solving the mock test, right? So this should be enough to cover your basis. And, there's not much that can be asked outside of these 700 to 800 sets that you would have already practiced. So practice is a key thing in DILR. In addition to this, you can probably indulge yourself in chess, Sudoku, or Kakuro on a daily basis. So I used to play Sudoku because, in my personal opinion, it helped me a bit in sharpening my brain, and it helped me in increasing my analytical thinking, which helped me do well in my DILR section, right? Now coming to the analysis part of DILR section. So assuming that in each mock test you would have around 4 to 5 sets, right? So for DILR, you need to play smart. So what do I mean by playing smart? You don't need to solve the entire set in order to get the questions right, because they don't give you extra marks for solving the entire set. You just need to pick up the easy questions first, pick up the low hanging fruits, strike it off, and then move to the next question, right? People often what they do is if they see a set, they try to solve it entirely. But one key thing that they miss out is the examiner is not that, full, right? So he will definitely put some traps in each set. So there will be definitely 1 or 2 questions which would be difficult to solve. So you need to identify that, leave aside if you're not able to crack it, solve the easy ones, and move on to the next set. Another thing that helped me in DILR was that, people often don't make use of the options, basically the MCQs, right? So if you encounter a set and you see that you are stuck up at one point of time, you can have a look at the 3 or 4 questions that that set has, and you can see that through the options, if I reverse engineer and if I plug in the options in my solution, if I try which option is working out, there's a high chance that you would be able to crack that set open by using this method, right? So this is something that you can use during your mock tests and practice sets. So this would be helpful in DILR. Another key thing in DILR would be, so once you have solved around 200, 300 sets, right? And apart from that, you would also have solved around 20 to 25 mock tests. What you can do is probably you should keep a note of in each mock, what were the good things that I did in the DLR section, and what were the type of sets where I could got stuck in. And you should also maintain notes on the type of sets that were very new to you, which means that you didn't see that kind of set previously. So through this, once you revise it on a regular basis, say once every week or 10 days, so that thing gets, feed it into your mind. And in case you encounter any such kind of set in your future or on the CAT exam day, your mind would automatically trigger a response that this is the kind of set that I have solved in that mock test, right? So this is the approach that you need to, take in order to crack that set. So this is something that would be helpful for your DLR section as well. Now coming on to the quantitative aptitude. So again, this is a section which has a mixed feedback, right? Sometimes it has been more favored to the non-engineers, but recently in last couple of years, what I've seen is that quants has been uh, a bit tough because it has more of modern maths and PNCs and algebra and geometry. But if you are not good at quants, the first basic step is to start with arithmetic, because this is the common trend that I've seen in the past 3, 4 years, that there will be at least 7 to 8 basic questions from arithmetic, which would include percentages, ratios, time, speed, distance, time, and work. So these are again the low hanging fruits. And these are the basics to get started in the QA section. So once you master the arithmetic section, you are sure to clear the cutoff of 80 to 85% by just studying for arithmetic. Now, to further boost your score, you need to pick up topics like algebra or geometry, right? Because these three are the key topics that have been asked in the past years in the CAT, right? So pick up algebra, pick up geometry, and a good way to start to QA is to analyze the past year papers. So starting from 2020 till 2024, you have 5 years of CAT, and you have 3 slots in each year. So you have 15 sets of papers. So this is a great opportunity for you to have a look like what is the kind of difficulty that you can expect in the CAT, and you can benchmark like this is the level of preparation that I need to do in order to prepare well. And again, the strategy would be you take a topic, for example, let's say ratio and proportion. So I'm starting my QA prep with ratios. So I'll practice ratios for a week or 10 days, and I'll practice easy, medium, and hard difficulty level questions. And if I come across any difficult question which I'm unable to solve, I'll bookmark it and I'll make a note of it. And in future, I'll make sure that I revise that question on a regular basis so that I become aware of how to crack those type of questions, right? So this is something that you can do in the QA section. Coming on to the mock tests, again, similar to DILR, what you can do is you can make use of the options, especially in QA. There are a few questions wherein you would be given certain variables like XYZ are irrational numbers, and what would be the probable solution. And so you would be given different options. So people often seeing on those type of questions get, bit frustrated, and they don't know exactly what to do. But one key thing that I've observed is you can take simple values like taking one in those type of questions. So you can plug in one in each variable and try to see what is the kind of answer that you are getting. And most often than not, that the option would be there in your MCQs, right? So this is something that you can do. So make sure to use the options wisely, because CAT won't give you extra marks by solving step by step. If you are able to solve a question with the help of options, then great, make use of it and go to the next question. So this is one thing that I used to do. And as a strategy during mocks, what you can do is you can probably scan through the QA paper quickly, because oftentimes what happens is that the examiner doesn't set the questions in a chronological order. So what he can do is he can set the difficult questions at the start of the paper. So once I start the paper and I see that I'm not able to solve the paper, I would become a bit frustrated, and I would lose my patience, and in the end that would ruin my section, right? So what I did was usually scan through the paper. So this would give me the time to analyze where are the easy or low hanging fruits, and I should go to that questions first, right? So always try to solve easy questions and then move on to the harder questions, like that. And again, analysis would be in such a way that you would divide different sections. For example, in arithmetic, this was your accuracy. Further in arithmetic, you are good at time, speed, and distance. You probably fumbled at ratios. So you need to work upon that. In algebra, these in quadratic equations, you are good. In linear equations, you probably missed a few key points. In geometry, you are good at, circles, but trigonometry, this is something that you need to improve upon. So you need to bifurcate each question and you need to analyze in depth after you appear for a mock. So this is something that I used to do, right? So this was my section wise plan for CAT 2025. In the end, I would just like to sum up by saying that CAT will be full of ups and downs. Take it as a journey, take it as a learning. Do not get too excited with good mock scores and do not get too bogged down by low mock scores, because it's very important to keep your composure, because think of the end goal. If your goal is clear, then you will for sure be focused and disciplined enough to keep your preparation on point till the final D-Day. And there will definitely be times where you feel like giving up, and it's okay to take a couple of days off from your preparation, because if you feel burnt out, then you are also a human being at the end, right? So you also deserve a bit of break, but it's important to go on a break and come back rejuvenated and start your prep again in full swing, right? So this is one thing that I wanted to tell you. And apart from that, I would also like to tell you that this is something that worked for me, right? So what people often do is they watch n number of strategy videos and try to implement each one of it in their upcoming mocks. But one key thing that they miss out is that you need to give each strategy a bit of time. It's not like कि एक दो mock में you use that strategy and will start working for you. So you need to give some time to each of the strategy, and you need to be patient. And if it's not working for you, then you need to think of what other ways you can try to solve and crack the paper. So this is something that would be helpful for you. And so yeah, that's it, more or less from my end. And now we can probably move at the Q&A.
The first question will come from me.
Yes, sir.
Yes. One very important question is like when they ask you about the long and the short-term goals.
Yeah.
And obviously, this actually question relates to even the why MBA. Now, people think that why MBA and long and short-term goals are two different questions, but actually they are the same.
Correct.
So I just need your understanding to it.
Correct, sir. That's a great question. So, as rightly said by you, these two questions are often related, right? So, think of it that you have a short-term goal, you have a long-term goal, and MBA is a means to reach to those goals, right? So if you say about short-term goals, so can prepare something of the sort like, you are, let's say, a sales and marketing enthusiast. So you would love to know and you are passionate about the FMCG industry. So after coming into a B school, I would love to know how the FMCG industry functions and what are the key collaborators, what are the key, suppliers in that industry, and what are the recent trends that have been shaping in. And through case studies, I would get to know from the esteemed professors how to, approach my solution to a problem statement. And in the long-term goal, you can always say that you would love to see yourself, heading a department or being the chief sales officer or handling a team of, or handling a department, something of that sort. So this would depend, but make sure to customize it according to your profile and your career goals.
One question I'm picking from the chat only. Even I think you can see the chat. There's one question which is quite relevant to the discussion we are having right now. Many of the times the people ask you that what kind of management skills you have shown in the past,
Yeah.
in past life, what kind of management skills you have. So how to answer that question?
Sure, sir. So management skill, basically there are quite a few type of management skills. First is leadership, another is empathy, third is collaboration. So these are the top skills that you would have more often than not portrayed in your past experience. So in terms of leadership, it could be, for example, I was the captain of my cricket team, so I had a fair amount of exposure to leadership. So you can, again, as I said in the beginning, right, it has to be in a star framework. So this was the situation where I was leading my team in a tournament. and my team was struggling in this aspect. So I gathered my team and I told them that these are the weak points that we need to work upon. And if you are not someone with prior work ex, so probably you can say is that during my undergraduation days, I was involved in this club or committee, and I was given the task of raising so and so funds for my event, or I led a team of say 10 or 12 people to manage this event. So this gave me exposure of how different verticals interact with each other, and collaboration is one of the key aspects of it. So these are some of the ways in which you can answer the management questions.
So you can look at the questions. Even there is one question of the creative skills.
Yeah,
Now, it can be some many of the business schools look at the creative skills of yours, and
right.
there will be question like where exactly in the past life you have shown something which is very maybe a creative solution to it or some creativity out of it.
Right. So creative skills, again, you have to reflect upon your past a bit, and you need to analyze if there has been any point of time in your school days or college days where you came across a problem statement, and if you could, if you did something out of the way or out of the box in order to tackle that question, right? So this need not be something very extraordinary. I mean, you could take any simple problem and frame it in a way that you could portray at the end that you took a creative solution and this helped you to overcome that particular problem statement, right? So this is something that you can do, but again, you will have to reflect upon your past a bit and frame it in a way that your creativity comes out uh, to the interviewer.
And even one question in the chat I can see is the SOP thing, the profile thing. This is
Right.
the one Mr. Tanish was asking about the SOP. Now, SOP, some schools, business schools in the GMAT, everyone asks, but in the CAT, some business schools are asking about the statement of purpose.
Correct.
So, how exactly you think any student should be answering it?
Sure. So SOP would consist of two parts basically. So first is your general why MBA from IIM or GMAT or universities abroad. And second thing would be what are the key aspects that you're looking to gain out from the that particular B school. So SOP should be very crisp. So basically, you should give a brief about your background and why you are looking to do MBA from that particular B school. And you could also do a bit of research about that B school which you are applying to, connect with the current students and alums to understand like what are the key features of that particular program which would help you. This would also portray to the interviews that you have done your bit of research and you are very much serious about getting into that B school. So this would help you in framing a good SOP. So it should also have your a brief tell me about yourself and your long term and short term goals and how that B school will help you in achieving those goals. So these are the key things that should be there in your SOP.
So, please look at the some chat thing.
Yeah,
So you can even pick some couple of questions, and then we'll end the session.
sure, sir. So the question that I can see is how to answer past examples. Uh, I'm not sure what you mean by this. So again, Keshav, so what you need to do is, again, as I said, right, before starting your interview preparation, you need to sit in a quiet space, reflect upon all the things that you have done so far in your life, right from your, nursery, kindergarten to this day in your life. So you would have ample amount of things that would be relevant to the interviewer. You just need to jot them down on a piece of paper and categorize them that if this questions is asked, then this is the response that I would give to the interviewer, right? So for this, you need to reflect bit deeply upon your past experiences, and I'm sure that this would help you in answering these questions well. Yeah.
Okay, so let's pick the last question. You can pick the question.
Sure, sir.
The one
So,
Piyush is asking about the de-stress relief. For example, the whole activity of the cat 1 year is just like a marathon running. So a lot of stress and everything. So how you if you think a person should be handling it?
right. Well, that's a very valid question, Piyush. So there's no one straight answer to this. Everyone would have their own ways to de-stress themselves, right? So for me, it would be a quick workout or going out in the with the nature and exploring different places or doing a bit of cycling. So it depends from person to person. If you like drawing, if you like painting, if you like gaming, do whatever that helps you uh, make de-stress, and whichever thing that makes you calm and makes you happy, do that thing, and that should be helpful for you.
So should we wind up now, Ayush?
uh, I believe yes, we can.
Okay. So Ayush, it was great talking to you, and quite a learning experience for the students as well as the teachers. And I really enjoyed talking to you, and hoping we'll in the future even we will have some more sessions planned for helping maybe the prospective students or maybe the GDPI or whatever. तो आपका अभी क्या placements are coming up?
Yes, sir.
Placements
So
is being done right now. Yes.
yes, placements are underway, and
Okay.
so I would also like to thank you and the entire team for giving me the opportunity, and it was a pleasure interacting with the students. And yes, I would love to again be a part of this, and wish you all the best to all the aspirants out there.
Thank you. Thanks. I'm ending the session right now. Okay. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Bye.